Hey guys, Colin here, and welcome to the first Drawing Basics video, where today we're going to just break some things down into some very simple concepts just to get you started with your drawing. Now, the first and one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn in learning art is it's all just shapes. That's it. Everything can be broken down into shapes, and your three simple shapes: a nice circle, squares, which eventually turn into cubes, and finally cylinders. These are kind of ovals, and there we go. Pretty much anything in life that you're going to draw, you're going to be breaking down into these three simple shapes. And so let's talk about them. Spheres first. It doesn't always have to be a perfect circle. Usually when you're drawing like a head or something like that, I'll start off with a circle, add some stuff to it, boom, we can start to see a face taking shape there. But it all kind of starts with that sphere. This is kind of oblong, this is kind of wonky, egg-shaped a little bit on occasions. But that basic spheroid shape, something we want to start with and we want to practice. If you notice, when I'm drawing, when I'm sketching out ideas, I'm not aiming for a very precise line right off the bat and trying to get it perfect in one go. I find a lot of young people do that. After children get out of the age when they're just like, oh, I drew a house, I drew a kitty or whatever, and they actually start to want to draw the world around them realistically and express themselves through ideas. Usually when they're in I would say like late elementary school, maybe 10 years old, something like that. They have this tendency to be trying to do very precise lines. I'm going to draw a skateboard and I gotta get it perfect this time here, and I can't mess it up, kind of a deal. And that leads to frustration. That leads to people quitting learning to draw, and I think that's where a lot of people get stunted at. What I recommend, and let's flip here, is keeping it very loosey-goosey. Keeping it very light and sketchy and stuff like that at first, until you figure out where you want to place things. Not worrying about precise lines, because you can always go over these again. How I make circles is just roughing them in until I find a form that's generally good, and then adding things on from there. There's our face again, as normal. Add in a nose, eyes, stuff like that. And that all comes with practice. So making your shapes and learning to sketch them out loosely first is a great first step in any learning to draw. If you can, do this every day. Even if you're at work, sitting at the office on phone calls, and you just doodle out cubes and circles and cones and spheres and rectangles and these various shapes, that will help you. Once you get the hang of starting to just kind of loosely putting them in, you could start putting them together. You could take a cube that you make, you could take a cone, and there you have the start of a nice camera. Put a little doodad in here, maybe another cube up top for the flash, but that's it, man. That's drawing. It takes a lot of practice to get it just right, but this is the first step, and this is where you want to start. This is where virtually all drawing of anything comes from. What's nice about these shapes too is I think everybody knows them, and there's a lot of room for playing with them. Cubes, easily enough, start with a square. Anybody can draw a square. Don't overthink it. Don't try to make it the most precise square you can. You know, if you feel like making a square, that's totally fine. Then just kind of add in some cube lines to it. You're all set. There's a little bit more to that, but practice is going to help you 99% of the time. I know a lot of people have trouble visualizing things in their heads. You'll see a lot of people, when asked to draw a cube at random, they'll end up with things like that. They know it's the side, they just can't figure out how to do it, and that's fine. And you're allowed to do that. Look at some cubes online. Just go type in cube into Google image search. It'll show you some cubes, and you can start drawing them. A good rule of thumb to keep in mind is at any time you're going to see 3 sides of a cube. You know, pull out a dice or something out of your pocket. Pull out. I have this eraser sitting there. For all our intent and purposes, we could say cube. You know, I see the sides there and can just put them in. You know, so you can work with that to practice. Cylinders are basically just our spheres, our circles, a circle being a flat sphere. Add 2 lines, another curve on it, and there you go. Easy. This is going to come in very handy when we start breaking down anatomy, as most human limbs and stuff are just that. You know, you can make arms and legs, whatever you want with that. But it's a great place to start, a great place to break things down to. The next step, after you kind of get the gist for just drawing these 3 shapes, is starting to see those shapes in everyday objects, complex objects. You know, it's easy to see a baseball as just a sphere, but it's a little harder when you look at something like, say, this Funko Pop and want to try to break it down. But you can start to easily see things like, oh, the head's a sphere. Maybe make it a little oval shape. The chest, there's a sphere in there, right in this area right there. We can do little cubes for the legs. This looks like a long oval shape here in the back, and so on and so forth. Start to break things down like that. Maybe do little pyramid type shapes up top. One right there. And you get the gist of it. It starts to break it down into these really easy shapes. You just kind of have to start training your eyes to see them in places. And you'll be able to get the hang of it. So that's your homework for today, guys. Practice drawing spheres or circles. We don't even need to worry about shading right now. Keep it nice and loose. Change up the shapes, make them oval, blobby too sometimes. But practice with purpose. Draw some squares. Draw them in different configurations with different lengths. Just get practice with that a nice bold stroke. Don't worry about getting that perfect line. Just boom, put it in there. Whatever comes out. Then remember, 3 sides to a cube. Start turning whatever you're drawing into little cubes. And then start turning your circles into tin cans, basically. Maybe you could even practice doing cones. Draw your little circles. Draw cones coming from them. But with that, you guys, you are absolutely on your way to drawing. It's a great place to start. I hope you'll join me on Thursday, where I'll be doing a little bit of practice of my own, breaking things down into their component shapes and how to see that. So join me then for that next video. And until then, happy drawing, everybody. Hope you're all well, and go out and be awesome. This is Colin signing off. Goodbye.